Dear listeners, I welcome you to my channel. Leave your comments and impressions, I value your opinion. The kitchen is bright, sunlight streaming in through the pristine windows as I sit at our small marble top table. It's an ordinary Tuesday morning, except today my coffee tastes unusually bitter, and there's a nagging throb behind my eyes that won't fade. I'm scrolling mindlessly through emails on my phone when Lara, my wife of 5 years, practically dances into the room, her energy a stark contrast to my sluggishness. "Honey, you won't believe this," she exclaims, her voice bubbling with excitement as she flings her purse onto the counter. She's glowing, practically radiating with a kind of victorious glee that instantly makes me wary. I look up, trying to muster a smile. "What's up?" "I just got my results." Lara pulls out her phone, waving it around as she plops down across from me. "I scored the highest mark in the Art of Love course. Can you believe it?" I'm the only one who could handle the instructor and his two assistants. There's a beat of silence as her words hang in the air between us. My heart pounds in my chest, louder than our ticking kitchen clock. I set my phone down, my hands suddenly cold and clammy. "Handle them?" I echo, my voice sounding strange to my own ears. "Yes, it was part of the practical. You know, learning about intimacy connection," she trails off, her eyes shining with something akin to pride. I stare at her, a numb feeling spreading through my limbs. My wife, the person I've shared everything with, speaks with such nonchalance about what sounds dangerously like an affair. Or several. "Lara, are you telling me that you—" I can't finish the sentence. "What? No, silly," she laughs, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. "It's all very professional and educational. You know how passionate I am about my studies." I pull my hand back slowly, trying to process her words. "Educational," I repeat, the word tasting like ash in my mouth. I'm not sure what makes me more upset, the implication of her actions or her breezy dismissal of the seriousness. Yes, absolutely. It's all about understanding human desires and emotions. It was all consensual and part of the curriculum. Her explanation does little to soothe the turmoil inside me. "Lara," I start, my voice steadier than I feel. "Do you understand how this sounds? How this feels for me?" Her brow furrows in confusion. "I thought you'd be happy for me. I'm learning, growing. Isn't that a good thing?" I shake my head, feeling a surge of anger and sadness. "Not like this, Lara. Not at the cost of our relationship." She opens her mouth to respond, but the doorbell rings, slicing through our confrontation. I stand, glad for the interruption, needing a moment to gather my thoughts. As I walk to the door, I think about everything that just transpired. My wife, so joyfully announcing her achievements in what sounds like an infidelity wrapped in academic justifications. And me, wondering how deep this betrayal runs. What was supposed to be a mundane Tuesday is quickly turning into a day that could unravel everything. I open the door, and there stands a man with a kind, open face, holding a large envelope. "Delivery for Ms. Morgan," he says, handing it to me. "Thank you," I mumble, taking the envelope back to the kitchen. Lara looks up, her smile faltering. "What's that?" I slit open the envelope, my hands trembling. Inside, there are papers, legal, formal, and utterly terrifying. They're from a lawyer, about a case that could change our lives forever. "What is it?" Lara asks, getting up to stand beside me. "It's about my father," I say, my voice breaking. "He's been arrested. I think he's been involved in a crime ring." Lara gasps, her earlier triumph forgotten. "What are we going to do?" I look at her, at the woman I thought I knew, and I realize that our problems are just beginning. "I don't know, Lara," I admit, feeling more lost than ever. "But we're going to find out." As she wraps her arms around me, I stand stiffly, the papers in my hand a heavy reminder of the secrets and lies between us. I thought I knew my biggest problem today was my wife's infidelity, but life, it seems, has other plans. And as for what I'll do, well, that remains to be seen. The drive to the police station is silent, charged with a tension that neither Lara nor I attempt to break. I focus on the road, my mind racing with thoughts of my father, the accusations against him, and the crumbling edges of my marriage. When we arrive, the building looms large and intimidating, its gray facade a stark reminder of the gravity of our visit. We enter the bustling precinct, officers and civilians milling about, their conversations a dull buzz in my ears. I approach the front desk, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. I'm here to see my father, George Morgan. He was arrested last night. The officer behind the counter nods, typing something into his computer. Take a seat. I'll see what I can do about getting you in. We find 2 chairs in the corner. Lara sits beside me, her earlier enthusiasm replaced by a somber quiet. She reaches for my hand, but I pull away subtly, still reeling from her revelations. A tall, broad-shouldered man approaches us, his badge glinting under the fluorescent lights. Ms. Morgan? He inquires, his gaze assessing. Yes, that's me, I reply, standing to meet his level. I'm Detective Simmons. I'm handling your father's case, he explains, leading us to a small private room. Your father is accused of being involved in a major theft ring. It's pretty serious. I swallow hard, the reality setting in. Can I see him? In a moment, Simmons assures, then hesitates. There's something else you should know. Your father mentions something about you possibly being in danger. Danger? The word sends a shiver down my spine. Why would I be in danger? It seems the people involved might think your father told you sensitive information. Anything you can think of that might help us? I rack my brain, but nothing comes to mind. I shake my head, frustrated and scared. Simmons nods understandingly and leaves to fetch my father. While we wait, Lara finally speaks, her voice low. Jen, I'm sorry about earlier. I didn't mean to hurt you. I meet her gaze, the hurt fresh on my face. We'll talk about it later, Lara. Right now, I need to focus on my dad. Before she can reply, the door opens and my father is let in, handcuffs removed as he enters. He looks older, wearier. Jenny, he murmurs, pulling me into a hug. Dad, what's happening? I ask, clinging to him. He sighs, glancing warily at Lara before speaking. I got mixed up in something bad, thinking it was a quick way to fix a mistake. But I never expected it to go this far. Are we in danger? I press, needing to understand. He nods solemnly. They might think I've told you where things are hidden. Things? I echo, puzzled. Stolen items, he clarifies. But I haven't, Jenny, I swear. Detective Simmons re-enters, signaling it's time to wrap up. We need to keep you safe, Ms. Morgan. Both of you. He nods at Lara. As we leave the station, Lara pulls me aside. Listen, Jenny, I know I messed up. But right now, you need someone you can trust. Let me help you through this. Looking into her earnest eyes, I realize that despite everything, I do need her. Okay, I agree reluctantly. As we drive back home, my phone buzzes. An unknown number. Hesitant, I answer. Hello. Jenny Morgan? A gruff voice asks. You don't know me, but I have information about your father's case. Meet me tomorrow at the old fish market. Alone. Who are you? I demand, but the line goes dead. Glancing at Lara, who notices the concern on my face, I make a decision. Despite the caller's warning, I know facing this alone might be foolish. Lara, there's something I need to do tomorrow. I might need backup. Count me in, she says without hesitation, and I feel a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, we can face this together. The old fish market smells of salt and decay, a ghost of its bustling past. As Lara and I approach, the fog seems to thicken, swallowing the early morning light. I feel a prickle of unease crawling up my spine, the silence of the abandoned place echoing with every hesitant step we take. Lara stays close, her eyes scanning the damp, shadowy corners. Do you really think someone will show up? She whispers, skepticism threading her voice. They better. I murmur back, clutching my phone. The anonymous call had been brief and cryptic, but desperate times call for desperate measures. If this person really knows something about my father's case, it's worth the risk. We reach the heart of the market, where old wooden stalls stand like skeletons, the rotting wood and rusted metal an eerie reminder of the market's vibrant past. I pull my jacket tighter around me, trying to shake off the cold and the creeping fear. Suddenly, a figure steps out from the shadows. A man, tall and lean, with a weathered face that tells stories of hard years. Jenny Morgan? He calls out, his voice rough like gravel. That's me, I say, stepping forward. Lara follows, her posture tense. I'm Ron, he says, glancing around nervously. I worked with your dad. He told me if anything ever happened to him, to find you. What can you tell us? Lara asks, her voice firm, cutting through the morning chill. Ron shuffles his feet, looking uncomfortable. It's about the theft ring. Your dad wasn't just involved, he was trying to expose them from the inside. He knew things were getting too dangerous. My heart skips a beat. Expose them? Why didn't he tell the police? He didn't trust them. Thought some of them were in on it. He only trusted Detective Simmons. Ron's eyes flicker with a mix of fear and urgency. So what does this have to do with me? I pressed, trying to keep my voice steady. They think he might have passed something important to you. Something they want. Ron continues, his glance darting back to the shadows as if expecting someone to appear. I exchange a look with Lara. But he didn't pass anything to me. I don't have anything. Ron nods slowly. That may be, but they won't believe it until they turned your life upside down looking for it. You need to be careful. Suddenly, a loud crash echoes through the market, startling us. Lara grabs my arm, pulling me back as three figures emerge from the deeper shadows, moving towards us with purpose. Run. Ron hisses, pushing us away before turning to face the newcomers. Lara and I don't hesitate. We dash through the narrow pathways, our footsteps loud against the old cobblestones. My heart pounds in my chest, adrenaline fueling our escape. We weave through the stalls, the smell of the sea thick in the air. Behind us, shouts and the sound of scuffling. I dare not look back, fearing what might be happening to Ron. After what feels like miles, we finally stop, hidden behind a large, rusted container, catching our breath. Lara's eyes meet mine, wide with shock and fear. What do we do now? She gasps, her breath misting in the cold air. We need to get to Simmons, I say, pulling out my phone to call the detective. He's the only one we can trust. As I dial, I can't help but wonder about the depths of the conspiracy my father had tried to expose. How deep did it go? And more importantly, were Lara and I already too deep in it to get out unscathed? The phone rings, each tone echoing ominously in the damp air, as we wait for Simmons to answer, hoping we hadn't just escaped one danger to find another. Detective Simmons meets us at a nondescript diner, away from prying eyes. The bell jingles ominously as we enter, the fluorescent lights flickering above us like a bad omen. Lara and I slide into a booth, our nerves on edge after the morning's harrowing escape. Simmons sits opposite us, his expression grave. Are you two all right? He asks, his concern evident. We're shaken, but we're here, I reply, my voice steadier than I feel. Simmons nods, pulling out a small notebook. Ron contacted you, didn't he? What did he tell you? I recount the morning's events, watching Simmons closely. He listens intently, his eyes narrowing slightly as I mention the theft ring and my father's intentions to expose it. It's as I feared, Simmons sighs after I finish. Your father was deep undercover, and it seems he stumbled upon something big, something dangerous. Lara leans forward, her brows furrowed. But why didn't he trust the police? Why only you? Simmons glances around before leaning in. Because the corruption he discovered runs deep, even within our ranks. I was his only contact outside the compromised unit. My stomach churns. So what's next? They won't stop looking for whatever they think my dad gave me. You're right, Simmons says, his voice low. Which is why we need to get to it before they do. I freeze. Get to it? You mean there is something? Simmons nods. Your father hid evidence that could take down the entire ring. It's in a safe deposit box, under a false name. He left clues for you, knowing only you could decode them, based on your childhood memories. Lara grits my hand under the table, her touch grounding me. We can do this, Jenny. Let's find it and end this. We spend the next hour piecing together the clues from my father's notes, which Simmons had safely kept. Each reference to our old family trips, my mother's favorite books, or our shared love of puzzles forms a map leading us to the location of the safe deposit box. With a plan in place, we leave the diner and head to the bank. The city seems oblivious to the drama unfolding as we walk through its streets, the weight of our task pressing down on us. At the bank, I approach the counter, my fake ID ready. I need to access my safe deposit box, I say, my voice firm. The clerk nods, leading us to a private room. My hands trembled as I insert the key, the metallic click sounding like a gunshot in the quiet. I open the box, and there it is. A small, unassuming flash drive, labeled simply, for Jenny. Just as I close my hand around it, the door bursts open. Two men charge in, but before they can reach us, Simmons and several uniformed officers follow, guns drawn. Police, drop your weapons. Simmons commands. The would-be attackers comply, and a tense silence fills the room as they're handcuffed. Lara and I exchange a look of relief, the reality of our narrow escape sinking in. Later, back at the precinct, Simmons explains how they tracked us to the bank, ready to intervene. We've been monitoring their communications since you first called, he reveals. As Lara and I leave the station, the flash drive secure in my pocket, I feel a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. What will you do now? Lara asks softly. I think I need to figure out who I am without all this chaos, I admit, looking at her, and maybe see if we can rebuild what we had. Lara nods, squeezing my hand. I'd like that. As we walk away, the city lights flickering on in the dusk, I realize that through all the danger and betrayal, I've found not only the truth about my father but also a renewed hope for my future with Lara. The road won't be easy, but for the first time in a long time, I feel ready to face whatever comes next.